In this video, we're going to make some deep house like KREAM like this. Alright, so for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Vlad and I create superstar music producers. If you're interested in music coaching and you want to work one-on-one on your production skills, you want to learn how to make music like this, then all the links are down below. Feel free to book a call or send me a message on Instagram. And for the talking, let's get straight into the video. So that's going to be a super dope video because I have so many good presets and techniques for you. And as usual, let's start with the kick and the bass. So I made this kick and the bass, so this is a copy from the original track. The only thing that I didn't do, I decided to keep it simple and not to have progression just because I liked it more. But the sound of the kick and the bass is like that. So we have the main bass and we have the top bass. So let's start with the main bass. The sound design is really simple. So I'm going to bypass all of the effects here and we're going to take a look at everything. So we are starting from the basic saw wave. The envelope one looks like this, so it's pretty sustained, but also has a nice release. Monolegato as usual, randomize set to 0. So that's the sound. Then we have pulse width modulation Genji from analog here. So the wavetable position is all set at 1 and it sounds like this. So pretty nice square mixed with the saw here. And then I'm applying a filter and the envelope 2 is controlling the filter cutoff. And it creates that nice fat but really simple at the same time sound. So a bit of fat and drive here. So pretty nice, I like that. Some sidechain on the channel. And then just a bit of effects here, so distortion, like this. And then a bit of compression, just to control the dynamics and make it more balanced, I would say, okay? So that's for the main bass. Really nice and really simple, and that's the main melody, so as you can see, sounds like this. And then for the top bass, the only thing that is changing here is this note here. So we are going 1/5. The sound design is also really simple here. So if you look at everything, I have like a lot of effects here, but it's still pretty simple. So let's start with the oscillator A, which sounds like this. The envelope is pretty long, so 500 milliseconds. So it's basic shape square. So from here, wavetable position 4, and then I played a bit with pulse width modulation. So really simple. Then basic MCB. So this is a saw waveform. Unison is about 4, and I slightly detuned it to give it this nice effect. Then mono. And then we are using the filter, so AB, and the envelope one is controlling the cutoff, so a bit of resonance here, fat and drive. And that's the sound. And then in terms of the effects, a bit of distortion. Pretty nice. Then I'm rolling off with the equalizer some of the low frequencies that I don't like, so up to 225. And then I'm boosting a bit of mids. We can leave it as it is. So really up to you how you want it to sound. Could be pretty nice. Maybe we can cut a bit more. Something like this. A bit of chorus here. You can play with the settings. So maybe something like this. One more filter. I think, am I using it or not? No, this one I didn't like. So we're going to skip that. A bit of reverb. Again, just play around with the settings. It's pretty simple. And then some delay just to like... Yeah, actually, I didn't use the delay and I didn't use the filter. So as you can see, it's like really simple. So that's it for the top bass and the bass layer. Sounds like this. So for example, together with the drums. So pretty nice. And now let's talk about the synth sounds. That's going to be a really cool part of this video. So in the original track, they had this ARP sound, which sounds like this on its own. Pretty cool sound, and it's making a lot of movement, it's adding a lot of groove, and it's really simple in terms of the sound design, so let's bypass all of the effects. So we are starting with basic saw again here. The envelope 1 is really short, as you can see, like this, 124, and the release time is about 34. Then we have the second envelope, which is forming, it's making up this sound. So as you can see, we have added a bit of a tat here to make it not as clicky, not as aggressive. And then we are assigning this envelope 2 to the filter cutoff like this, A and B, MGLO 24. And this is pretty much this sound. And then for the oscillator B, I'm using MB saw here. A bit of unison. So a bit of resonance here. We can increase the flats and drive just a tiny bit. And then for the effects, I'm using an EQ here to roll off the high frequencies. A bit of distortion, hard clip, and I think I'm using velocity to control the amount of distortion. Also, pretty cool thing to do. Adding some movement, a bit of reverb. I think a bit of chorus as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So as you can see, again, pretty simple sound design, nothing really that complicated. And if you want to take a look at the MIDI, so yeah, you can play with the velocity here. But what I did here is I took a groove, so swing logic, and I just put it here, like in a separate track. And I used it for my ARP sound because it already has some groove. So I just put the notes that I needed. And yeah, in this case, that was A sharp, and that's pretty much it. So it's a pretty cool thing to add some groove to this thing. Okay, so that's cool. The next thing is going to be the drone. So for the drone, the sound design is pretty straightforward. I used Omnisphere with just a bit of reverb. So I went to pads and strings, and then I just picked the sounds that I liked, and then I just added a lot of reverb on it. So you can essentially take any synthesizer that you have, really, it doesn't matter that much. The logic is that you just take a nice, maybe organic sound, maybe synth kind of sound, you put a lot of reverb on it, 100%. And then you just use it as a drone because it adds nice ambience, nice background, because when I was making the track, I felt like it's a little bit too empty, so I just wanted to add something to make it more interesting. But for the drone, it's pretty much it, okay? The next thing that I want to talk about is going to be this KREAM stab that they use all the time, and it sounds like this. Let me just play you this part. It's gonna be like this. We can play with our drums again. Really nice, cool, and atmospheric sound. So this one is really simple. Let me turn off the reverb. And this is how the sound sounds on its own, like this. So let's take a look at everything here. So the thing that you want to start with again is going to be the saw waveform. So the envelope is looking something like this, almost noise sustain, a bit of decay here, so about 500 milliseconds. Pretty short release time, 60 milliseconds, something like that. Unison set to 16, a bit of detuning here, blended about 75. Okay, again, play around with settings. The next thing is going to be basic shapes, that's wavetable position 6. And then I'm using sync here to make the waveform look something like this. The unison is 16 here again, because we want to have that detuned sound. And then with the sync, you just find this position. And after that, we are using a filter. Let me also turn off the effects here. Filter MGLO 12 for both A and B oscillators. we can add just a tiny bit of drive and fat here. So maybe something like this, compensate the loudness. And it's going to sound like this. So that's the sound that we are looking for. And then we can also add a bit of like kick attack here. So you can play with these, like you have a lot of them, 29. Or actually, even without this click sample, I think it's like totally fine. But yeah, if you want, you can add it. If not, just keep it simple. The next thing that we are using here is going to be LFO1. So LFO1 is, if we go to matrix, it's going to control global and master tuning, and I've set it to about like 50%. And then you just find the rate, so set it to envelope, pick the right rate. Also, you can tweak the shape of the LFO, and then it's going to give you this nice sort of like clicky. Something happens to this sound, which I don't like. Yeah, don't forget to turn it to unipolar, because otherwise it's not going to sound good. So just one arrow here. That's it. Add a bit of multi-band here. So it's like squashing the sound. And then distortion, asymmetrical, just to give it that push. And then after that, I'm using a Valhalla reverb, like a really long reverb with a lot of pre-delay here. And that's pretty much the sound. So as you can hear, sounds like this. And all together, okay, so that's for the stab sound. Sounds really, really cool. The next sound that I want to talk about is going to be this fill sound. Pretty cool sound. So this one again, this is the sound that they have in the original track, and I recreated it. So that's going to be the next one. And we are starting with oscillator ear as always. So that's going to be saw waveform here. Unison set at 7. So if you want to play in solo, that's going to be like this. Okay, envelope 1 looks something like this. You can play again with a shape if you want to make it sound like a bit different. But the envelope 2 is a bit more plucky and punchy. Then oscillator B has saw rounded waveform. So they both are saws, but just a bit different, so we can have like more interesting sound and sonic characteristics, sonic response. Okay, so fine tuning is like 27. So this one is like minus 21. This one is 27. And I've set this one to 1 octave higher just to give it like a bit more contrast. Then we are using the filter both on A, B. Actually, we have no sub. And also noise. I just used the one that goes like a standard preset. Level is about 50%, and it sounds like this. So already like fat and like wide and like nice KREAM kind of sound, right? The classic one. And then a bit of multi-band here to give it that push. Okay, a bit of distortion. And I'm using envelope 2 to control the drive in the mix. EQ. Actually, we can keep a bit more here. Something like this is cool. Yeah, so I'm just rolling off the high frequencies and the low frequencies. I'm boosting a bit of 3K here, so you can play with that too. A bit of hyperdimension, I think, just to make it like wider. And then a filter, MG-Low 6, just to make it a tiny bit softer. Something like this. And also the envelope 2 is controlling the filter cutoff here. So pretty simple preset here. Again, like, yeah. And about the unison, so the first one is 7 and the second one is 9. So detuning, play a bit with that. So that's it for this sound. And we have just a couple of sounds left. So the next one is going to be this brass sound, which sounds like this. And I just love the sound so much. Yeah, like really nice one. So I just want to listen like once again how it sounds in the mix. yeah, really cool. Like, I'm actually so happy with the sound that I've got because it's so close to the original sound. And then I would just add something from myself, change it a bit, and that would be like a new track. Okay, so for the brass sound, let's talk about that. Have a lot of reverb on it, but essentially the sound is pretty simple. Okay, so we are using 2 oscillators. As usual, we are starting with the saw waveform, -2 octaves, so it sounds like this. Okay, then you want to use oscillator B, set unison to 3, slightly detune it, and then you also want to use LFO1 to control the fine tuning of the oscillator. So it's set about like 0.8. We can do maybe like 1.4. So really up to you how you want it to sound. I usually like setting my leads to mono as well, because that's, you know, just to me it sounds better. Then the envelope looks something like this. So the attack is pretty long, but we are increasing it like this. So we still have that like sort of punchy sound. And then you can play a bit with the envelope here. Okay, after that, we are going to assign the envelope 1 to the filter, MGLO12, A and B. It's going to be like this. We can increase a bit of like fade and drive here, just a tiny bit. Sounds like this, and it's not opening like all the way up. The next thing that we're going to do, we're going to assign the envelope 1 to drive and mix. Sounds like this. Pretty nice. After that, we're going to use the EQ to roll off the high frequencies, the low frequencies, about like 200 hertz, to give it like mid kind of sounds. Then we're going to use the filter, and this is basically what creates this sound. So it's misc calm, and we're going to set it about 62. Resonance is about like 72%. So it's giving that like nice metallic kind of sound. And then you also want to set LFO1 to filter cutoff and just about like 1% here. So it's going to change the sounds, sort of like create that live feeling when like a real human is playing. So it's not like the same every single time. Then we're going to use compressor in multi-band mode. So pretty soft settings, 2:1. The attack is about here, 90 milliseconds, and the release is all the way up. So it's giving that nice like brassy feeling. And then if you want, we can just play with the filter here, just adjust it. But that's pretty much it. And then after that, I'm using a lot of reverb here, which creates that nice effect. Maybe make it a bit quieter. And what I did here is I froze this channel and I made like a reverse. Again, this is what they used in the original track. And when it hits together, like it's so nice. Okay. And we have just 2 sounds left. So it's this FM kind of bass. So this is a preset that I found in one of the preset packs that I used. But anyway, let's break it down because I think it's pretty interesting. So it looks like this. So this is Monster, like from Spectral. So no noise. This is how it sounds on its own. It's like kind of like metallic, classic, like dubstep sound. Then we are using oscillator B, that's Monster 4, again from Spectral. And we are using FM from B here. And it creates that nice metallic kind of sound. The envelope 1 looks like this. So you can copy the settings. Then after that, we're using the filter both on the A and B oscillator. And the envelope 2, which is a bit shorter, as you can see, it's more like plucky. We are using it to... Oh, actually, wait. No, envelope 1 is controlling the filter, excuse me. So just put it on the filter cutoff. And then envelope 2 is controlling the noise. And the noise is going to direct out. So it's like going not through the filter, but like just straight to the master channel. So it just creates that nice, noisy and plucky sound like attack. I'll set it to mono. That's it for this section. And then a bit of distortion here, which creates that like nice aggressive sound. A bit of reverb, a bit of delay here, a bit of compression, hyper dimension, and then I think a bit of EQ. And for the EQ, we can do like this. So in the mix, this is how it sounds. We can add a bit more reverb here. Okay, let's talk about this string bend kind of sound, which on its own sounds like this. Pretty simple sound actually. I was trying to recreate it and it was like pretty easy. So it's like 90% from the original one, and then you can just tweak it according to your taste. But let's start with the sound. So it's really simple. If you look at it, it's gonna be like. So it's basic saw waveform. I'm using envelope 2, which looks like this to control the noise. So it's basically. Yeah, so it's controlling the amount of noise and also the filter, because without the filter, I just wanted to have like a bit of that like attack or something like that. Then LFO1 is in envelope mode. It's pretty fast here. And I'm controlling the chorus pitch. So if you go to matrix, yeah, chorus pitch. Okay, like this. So you can adjust the envelope. So I'm going to bypass and show you. And then with this one, so it's going to 3. Yeah, about 3. Okay. And then the unison is set to 7, but I detuned it just a tiny bit, like this. So that's it. Then for the effects, I added a bit of distortion to make it more crisp. Multi-band compression to squash the sound, like add that nice top end. EQ, I think I didn't even use. A bit of hyper dimension here. And a flanger to add that like, yeah, sort of like detuned phasey effects. And then the whole thing about this sound was that it just had that pitch bend like in MIDI, so as you can see. So it's pitch up and pitch down. And then after that, I'm using the reverb, like really long reverb, which creates that sound. And this is the echo, which is basically just making the sound as they're in the original track. Okay, and what else do we have? I think there was one last sound that I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to talk about some ear candy things. So it's this lead sound. If you look at the melody. It's the same melody, but the lead sound I took from one of the preset packs. So again, let's break it down real quick because it's a good sound. You can use it in your own tracks. So we are starting with DS, saw, and triangle, which is here. So envelope 1 looks like this. You can copy the settings. Oscillator B, basic shapes. It's same saw waveform. Unison at 3, slightly detuned. And envelope 1 is controlling the filter, so low 18, like this, pretty nice and plucky sounds. We are also using a noise, just a bit. Again, envelope 1 is controlling the noise, just like this. And then for the effects, it has a bit of delay here. Bit of reverb. That was with the preset, but then you can use like the one in the project. OTT, which squashes the sound. We are getting that like nice and bright lead here. A bit of hyper dimension to make it like whiter. Distortion. And I think the last thing was the EQ, rolling off the high frequencies a bit here. And that's pretty much it for all of the sounds. So as you can see, like the track is really simple. The track is really simple. Just the thing is that the sounds are spread out in a nice way and they just interact with each other, which is pretty nice. So the last thing is going to be some ear candy things that I did. So I took this vocal part and I put some reverb and delay on it. And from this vocal sound, I made this vocal atmosphere, which fills up the space so nice. So what I did here, I took the reverb and I just did automation. So that's going to be, here. So what you want to do, make it really long, let's say like 12 seconds. And then you want to automate this freeze thing. And then like this, turn it on. Like this. And then you can just record it to, for example, to this channel. So you can just route it to this channel. Let's say that's going to be Flux. You route it here. And then you just hit record when it records. So yeah, really cool thing that again fills up the space, makes the track deeper. And I think that was like pretty much it. We can talk a bit about the drums, but for the drums, I mostly use loops because it's like fast and easy way to do things. But really quickly, let's go through the drums. Classic 99 hat. So the shaker hat, something like that. I took it from the groups, by the way. And then also the loop on top. Sounds pretty nice, I like it. Second loop, like with the clap. Adding some like crispiness with it. And then there's a crash when the kit hits. And then like the stay raw, like the classic one. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, as you can see, the track is pretty simple, but I showed you really cool sound design. So that's again something that I recreated from the original track. And it's really close to the reference. It's like almost identical. And then you can just tweak it according to your sounds if you want to use those presets in your music. I think they're really good. If you want to make music in a style of KREAM, that would work really well. All right, so that was it for this tutorial. As always, thank you for watching. If you're interested in coaching, all the links are down below. Feel free to contact me, and I see you in the next video.